I was.
That's different from the previous week. Was there a reason for the change?
Well, I think each year you're kind of evaluating the dynamic of your staff, and then really getting a feel for your group of players and what that communication needs to be like. So, you know, we felt like we had a little bit more mature group. You know, I think I really felt good about the way they responded in the first game, and that it might give me an advantage to be up there and be able to see a little bit better. Really haven't been up there all but 1 year of my career, so that was the reason behind that, and we felt good about that, and we can continue to evaluate that. I think you know, anytime that you're not performing, in my opinion, to your potential, you need to continue to evaluate any and everything that can make your team play better and your product better. So we're continuing to do that. It's still under evaluation. We're still talking about it.
Coach, yesterday I asked the program about mentioned in particular. He said that at halftime, after halftime, he was saying he wanted to come in, but ultimately it's up to you as coach what to come in.
Well, I think that is a staff decision. That's a head coach question. But certainly has done a great job since he's been here. Been very impressed with his maturity. Like most rookies, he did hit a little bit of a wall there in training camp and as we got closer to school starting. But his playing time will be a product of his preparation and whether or not we feel like he's dependable and we can count on him to do his job. The reasoning behind him not playing later in the second half was because it became a drop back pass game, being behind 3 scores in the protection area. That's an area where a rookie player might not be up to speed. So we kept Nick in the game because he's a better protector.
So yesterday and today, the running forward ball at center, do you anticipate that?
I think we're still evaluating that, but that's certainly an option for us. And we're trying to get our best 5 players on the field, and that's one of the lineups that we think may give us the best chance to do that. So it'll be ongoing, and that competition will continue. I think it's one of those that may be in competition each week, but at some point you'd like to get some continuity there, feel like you got your best 5 guys and continue to work those guys together. So hopefully we can get that done going forward.
How is that the tight end component of the action issues? I know that CJ French got a lot more reps in the second half of that game. Can you just talk about that position group and what's out right now?
Well, I think it's a position group where we're dependent on some inexperienced players to some degree, if that makes sense. I think we're going through some growing pains in that area. A comment on what you said earlier, I think is right on in terms of sometimes I think protection gets overlooked. Immediately you look at the 5 offensive linemen, when in reality, when you watch the tape and the people that really understand what's happening, it's a collective effort. It's the quarterback being in the right spot, being on the launch point. It's the running back doing his job. It's receivers playing fast, create separation, getting to the right spots versus zone. And then also when we use our tight ends in protection, they've got to do their job as well. So I think our offensive players understand that that's a team deficiency. It's not one unit. And no one's standard is is higher than our players. I mean, they've got lots of work and time invested in this team and in their individual performances. So the way they responded, we had a really good practice today, and I'm pleased with the way they responded.
And just given the number of moving parts at the end of the day there, how tough is that in your game prep mode week to week to accelerate that zone?
Well, continuity helps your team. I think when you can have the same lineup, the same group of players that are playing and repping each and every week, that helps you. So as we get healthy and get everybody back, we're going to get some guys back this week that I think are going to help us. D-Rich will be back, Ryan will be back, Ryan Jenkins also be back. So, but in reality, there's no excuse. I mean, it is what it is. You got to go perform with the group of players you have. And that certainly wasn't the problem Saturday night, for sure. Well, I think we need to do better in that regard, and no one's more responsible for that than me. I think that's the thing that sometimes I don't think people understand. You know, when we don't perform well, no one's harder on themselves than myself, our staff, our players, and that's the way it should be. You know, in reality, the external factors shouldn't affect how you perform, how you come to work every day. What's reality? What are the things that we really need to evaluate, put a plan of attack together to improve in certain areas, and then get ready for each game each week. And that's where we're at. We need to establish an identity, and I don't think there's any question when people say that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not personal to me. It's the truth, you know, and we've got to get better.
What has stopped you from establishing that?
Well, I'm not going to make any excuses. You know, I think the thing we got to do is get it done. You know, and that's the business I'm in, and that's hopefully what we'll get done as we go forward.
Do you expect it to be established by this point in the season? Would you expect an identity to be established?
Well, I think as you get closer to conference play, you know, most football teams are works in progress throughout the entire year. You know, you've got dynamics in all areas: morale, personnel, the opponent that you're playing. There's a ton of variables in football, and number one variable is people, you know, and motivating people, getting people to do their jobs at an efficient level, everybody pulling the rope in the right direction. And when you're talking about offensive football and execution, it truly is 11 people on the field doing their job that are well prepared. When you got 10, sometimes you're not going to have a great play. You know, defensively, you could have 3 guys bust and sack the quarterback. Nobody ever knows. So the message to our players is 11 players, 1 heartbeat, do your job. When we do that, we've had success. And when you see us struggle, it's usually a product of poor fundamentals, poor decision-making, and it's sometimes just flat-out effort, you know. So we've got lots of things to work on, and it'll continue to be that way no matter if we were 2-0 and won every game by 50 points or the fact that we're 1-1 and going on the road to play game 3. We're always going to be a work in progress, and the best football teams in the country and even some of the great teams I've been a part of, they're always that way. So we've got our own set of problems, and so does every other team in America, and we've got to manage those.
Can you talk about Manny, though? I think throughout all of this, he's kind of overshadowed the sense that he is the rising.
Right. Yeah, I think Manny has been a bright spot. Certainly can do things better at times, but we all can, including myself. You know, so we're a team. We're working together, and sometimes the product of our you know, inability to move it and score at times is it falls on every unit and every position group. It's interesting.
Coach, you said during camp that you had 5 receivers and you felt comfortable with, but you're looking for a 6th or 7th. Has Frank Darby become a guy that you feel comfortable playing?
Yeah, I like Frank. I like Frank's. I like how he brings it every day. You know, he's a guy you can count on. He's going to be high energy. He's got a great approach. He's engaged in the meetings. And if you think back about what Frank's done since he's been here, we got him right at the end of spring, and all he's done is get better. You know, and I think Coach Likens is an outstanding coach. Frank's got a good set of, you know, he's got a good skill set, and I think as we go forward, he'll continue to improve and prove that he can contribute, which he already has.
This offense obviously had a big performance against Texas Tech last year. Todd, do you think that they look improved to some degree? What's your sort of assessment of their defense?
Well, I think they've made an effort in the offseason to simplify a little bit. I think that's helped them. I think that they've overhauled their personnel. They've signed quite a few junior college players and transfer players. So if you look at their starting lineup from the first game, there's really only 2 returning starters on the defense. A lot of the guys that played last year are backups on the 2 deep. So they've overhauled their personnel. I think they've got a better understanding of what they're doing because they've simplified. The techniques are better, in particular up front. So it'll be interesting to see as their season goes along if they prove to be better. You know, they've played 1 football game at this point. Certainly are going to be a good challenge for us as we go on the road for the first time.
Talk about the fact that they played 1 football game against Penn State's opponent.
Well, obviously, the more game film you got on the opponent, the better. But you certainly can see that they've made improvement, and you can see that they're sound in what they're doing. So it's going to be about what we do. It's going to be about our preparation. It's going to be about correcting the things that we've dealt with in the past, and then each individual that we put out there to represent us has got to take pride in doing this job and get it done. So, including not only our players, but every one of our members of the organization at every level. So we all need to improve, and we certainly are working our butt off to do that.
I mean, the challenges that the offensive line has had so far, do you think that that's more of a matter of execution or technique, I guess?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a product of the two opponents that we played, and certainly there are areas in every one of our units that can make improvement, including our offensive line. So we're going to focus on what we need to do to play winning football, and we certainly need to improve fundamentally. Assignments, I think if we can help ourselves and I can help them as a coordinator, putting them in better position at times. And as much as the struggles that we've had with that group, everybody wants to talk about the players. What I do every morning is I get up and I look in the mirror and say, hey, what can I do to help that group? So that's the approach that we're taking as a staff. And I know one thing, those guys, they bring it every day and they come to work. And we need to do what we can do to help them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.